Hi, my name is Victor Zashev and I stutter. For a large part of my life, I struggled to read, confidently at all in class. I constantly blocked every sentence maybe 2 times per, and that was such a big problem at school. I was reading like a first grader while I was, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th class. So I got really traumatized over this. But I found a way to improve, and in this video you are going to see how I read unedited. I will leave in all of my mistakes that I make. And for more information on how you can improve your reading, your public speaking skills, how you can present something, how you can have an aesthetic body while in school, and how you can improve your life overall if you have a stutter, you can watch a full guide that I made right here. And if you want my personal one-to-one help to give you feedback and help you achieve this worry-free stutter faster than I did. For me, it took me around 2 to 3 years. You can click the link down below right now. Today, I'm going to read you the first chapter of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a great book that I picked up. And the good thing about this book is that while you're practicing your reading, you also learn about some social skills. But let me just say that while I was actively training my public speaking skill, I read the Metro series books and I got to the end of the trilogy, and by that time I did not have a problem with reading anymore. So if you're still struggling right now, I suggest you start the Metro or this book, or something that you like and it relaxes you to read it, because if you find the book uninteresting, you won't read it. Let's begin. I'll put the text on screen so you can follow along. If you want to gather honey, don't kick off the beehive. On the 7th May 1931, the most sensational manhunt New York City had ever known had come to its climax. After weeks of search, Two-Gun Crowley, the killer, the gunman who didn't smoke or drink, was at bay, trapped in his sweetheart's apartment on West End Avenue. 150 policemen and detectives laid siege to his top-floor hideaway. They chopped holes in the roof. They tried to smoke out Crowley, the cop killer, with tear gas. Then they mounted their machine guns on surrounding buildings, and for more than an hour, one of New York's fine residential areas reverberated with the crack of pistol fire and the rat-tat-tat of machine guns. Crowley, crouching behind an overstuffed chair, fired incessantly at the police. 10,000 excited people watched the battle. Nothing like it had ever been seen before on the sidewalks of New York. When Crowley was captured, Police Commissioner E.P. Mulrooney declared that the two-gun desperado was one of the most dangerous criminals ever encountered in the history of New York. He will kill, said the commissioner, at the drop of a feather. But how did Two-Gun Crowley regard himself? We know because while the police were firing into his apartment, he wrote a letter addressed "To whom it may concern," and as he wrote, the blood flowing from his wounds left a crimson trail on the paper. In this letter, Crowley said, "Under my coat is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm." A short time before this, Crowley had been having a necking party with his girlfriend on a country road out on Long Island. Suddenly, a policeman walked up to the car and said, "Let me see your license." Without saying a word, Crowley drew his gun and cut the policeman down with a shower of lead. As the dying officer fell, Crowley leapt out of the car, grabbed the officer's revolver, and fired another bullet into the prostrate body. And that was the killer who said, "Under my coat is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm." Crowley was sentenced to the electric chair. When he arrived at the death house in Sing Sing, did he say, "This is what I get for killing people"? No, he said, "This is what I get for defending myself." The point of the story is this: Tugan Crowley didn't blame himself for anything. Is that an unusual attitude among criminals? If you think so, listen to this. "I have spent the best years of my life giving people the lighter pleasures, helping them have a good time, and all I get is abuse, the existence of a haunted man." That's Al Capone speaking. Yes, America's most notorious public enemy, the most sinister gang leader who ever shot up Chicago. Capone didn't condemn himself. He actually regarded himself as a public benefactor, an unappreciated and misunderstood public benefactor. And so did Dutch Schultz before he crumpled up under gangsters' bullets in Newark. And so did Dutch Schultz before he crumpled up under gangster bullets in Newark. Dutch Schultz, one of New York's most notorious rats, said in a newspaper interview that he was a public benefactor, and he believed it. I have had some interesting correspondence with Louis Laws, who was warden of New York's infamous Sing Sing prison for many years, on this subject, and he declared that few of the criminals in Sing Sing regard themselves as bad men. They're just as human as you and I, so they rationalize. They explain. They can tell you why they had to crack a safe or be quick on the trigger finger. Most of them attempt by a form of reasoning, fallacious or logical, to justify their antisocial acts even to themselves, consequently stoutly maintaining that they should never have been imprisoned at all. If Al Capone, Tugan Crowley, Dutch Schultz, and the desperate men and women behind the prison walls don't blame themselves for anything, what about the people with whom you and I come into contact? John Wanamaker, founder of the American stores that bear his name, once confessed, "I learned 30 years ago that it is foolish to scold. I have enough trouble overcoming my own limitations without fretting over the fact that God has not seen fit to distribute evenly the gift of intelligence." Wanamaker learned his lesson early, but I personally had to blunder through this old world for a third of a century before it even began to dawn upon me that 99 times out of 100, people don't criticize themselves for anything, no matter how wrong it may be. Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes him strive to justify himself. Criticism is dangerous because it wounds a person's precious pride, hurts his sense of importance, and arouses resentment. So, how did I do? Write your answer in the comments. I really think that I would have found some kind of reassurance like this helpful when I was struggling to read. You can improve your speech. You can improve anything. For more stuttering self-improvement, watch this video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course, have a nice day, my friend.